have to change their bans going into the second game. I definitely expect things like the Jax to stay a priority, but there it is. Kai'Sa immediately taken offline. So that answers one question. Not going to want to deal with that. Tristana, now it's either that Xayah or the Jax coming through. I guess Xayah would make it much more uniform of just completely banning out Uzi.
Yeah, true. Just try and remove all of those potential picks from the bottom side. It does open up for a very interesting bottom lane if Xayah would be banned as well. That would certainly change things up. The LeBlanc taken off by EDG. I have to say, the Rumble, with them banning it on blue side and red side, it does feel like Allah just does not play that pick, and that can be really tough making it through playoffs when you've got a pick that's just not, like, you'll respect banning it, but you're also not willing to play it. That can always feel like an absolute crutch.
I mean, you have 2 permabans, right? They literally have 2 permabans in playoffs. We are going to stick with the Jax going through. So now I'm curious, because the Jace still being left open. We know they favored that one going into the first game. So they are just going to opt back into it. Once again, FO1 is strong laner, and I guess just hope that this time around, without the LeBlanc, you aren't going to be able to punish him as hard in the 1v1. I wouldn't be surprised now if we saw Rookie just end up going back to the Azir that we were hitting on earlier, though, and just providing them some lane presence once again, while also cementing them in late game team fighting, something last game around which was starting to get more difficult for them.
Yeah, the Azir certainly on the cards, but the Xayah going to be locked in first for top esports, prioritizing getting themselves a strong AD carry that they can play around here. Now, whether or not they want to, I mean, there's an argument for locking in HYCAN. Whether or not you prioritize that combo over like jungle and mid, though, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an argument to be made for a HYCAN, or if you wanted to go jungle and get your hands on like a Maokai or Sejuani sooner. But it seems, I was going to say, if they did lock in the Azir, it would just to be guaranteeing it, right? Because you don't expect EDG to put the Jason topside. I guess it is possible, but just not something we're really seeing it all these days. But still, wanting to make sure Rookie guarantees his hands on a comfort pick and a very strong pick in the meta. So this time around, top esports is going to be the ones who can kite back, who can play from a range, have tools to peel and disengage.
Yeah. The Maokai coming on through, I feel like was a foregone conclusion. Jason Maokai, I like...
the best of friends.
Yeah, they're like peas and mashed potatoes, you know? You can mix them all in, and you can get the little green bits, you can get little pockets of flavor in your mash. Fantastic.
I feel like they're the beans in the toast.
That's a weird thing to say for an American. I agree with you, but I've never heard an American say beans and toast is great. Beans on toast is legend. It's an institution.
I love it. I love it. It's something that, you know, I know a lot of people who don't. It doesn't make sense to them, but it makes sense to me.
Do you know what else is an institution? Blue side Renekton and EDG. Gonna lock that in. LPL loves our Renektons. I'm struggling with sentences today. As TN gonna go for the Sejuani as well. Interesting to see JJ very much focusing on the Maokai in this series, when we saw in the previous series he was all over that Sejuani.
Yeah, right. And I guess just wanting to have kind of more potential early game skirmishing presence, you know, the AP ratios you bring pairing alongside the Jace as well gives you long range, engage, and disengage, which I think makes sense with a Jace as well. But I like, you know, moving into the bans, Tavares ban being taken away. EDG, I think that's what they would have loved, to have some more early game aggression in their composition, because that's where it's really centered to me so far, early game skirmishing around that top half of the map. I'm interested to see what Uzi's even going to lean back on. We've had a lot of weird picks so far. Again, we've even seen things like Ezreal coming out. The Aphelios, despite the nerfs, has been brought out a few times to lack of success. But I feel like maybe one of those directions are where you'll be looking for EDG, especially if you're going to be having, you know, potential more focus around mid or top in this game.
Certainly could be an option. HYCAN, not a surprising ban considering the Xayah's already there for Jackie, so wanting to deny potential combo. Although Nautilus can certainly tick boxes, and we know how much Mark loves the Nautilus. I feel like Mark and Nautilus are synonymous at this point. Let's see how EDG went around this composition out, because game number 1 didn't feel like Uzi could really function on that Varus. This time Varus is taken off the board, but Ashe would be available.
Yeah, Ashe, like I said, Ezreal is something that I don't mind seeing into the Xayah, and we've already seen in the playoffs a couple times. Is a lot of strength to play out from a ranger, not have to deal with the feathers as much, especially if you intend to, again, look to be a bit more skirmish heavy in the mid game. Gonna bring out the Braum right now, so now Everything's in Uzi's hands. Mako did do a phenomenal job on that one in game 1. Please, Bunch, please.
When I saw the Braum locked in, I was going to say Lucian, because it is Uzi as well. Obviously, Lucian got changed since Uzi's days. Now his passive is based on being with an Enchanter. This is not the same strength Lucian that it used to be with Braum, but still going to go for that. I guess that counts with the stand behind me.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. Does count as, you know, you are definitely being shielded in that situation. But I just love it. We get more aggression than whatever the alternatives would have been for EDG, because everything we were listing, I guess the Ashe would have been aggressive too, but things like the Ezreal definitely would have leaned more into the passivity coming through. And Wayward and TS just don't care about the Braum. They feel confident in trying to bait the shield out and get the Call of the Forge God. Or like you were saying, just use the Call of the Forge God as the, hey, the big distraction, pay attention to me, and then have their carries pop off. So the script is flipped this time around. More early game aggression coming out from EDG and the Lucian and the Renekton. Top Esports built up for those full-on 5v5s. Though we know people like Rookie on the Azir, they can find those moments to go for the engages in the flank. Hell, Xiaohu was doing a great job of it yesterday.
He certainly was. Let's see what Rookie can do on the Azir. I've just reread Lucian's passive, and it includes immobilizers within 1,000 units. So Lucian's definitely going to get the buffs. I take back everything I said. Braum turns out fantastic. Still very good with the new version of the passive. But this is a much more interesting look, as we saw an aggressive 2v2 in the bottom side. In game number 1, it was Jackie on Mark that came out on top. Now Lucian, Braum, known for how dominant that 2v2 can be. With Uzi getting his hands on very much a classic pick for him. When you look at Uzi's all-time most played champions, it's his second most played with a 65% win rate over 73 games. It's a huge amount of Lucian over the years and a huge amount of 1 lanes.
And we know for EDG, right, like they showed us against OMG, they can bounce back. Doesn't matter if they're 1 game down. Maokai, great coach. Get them in the back room, game plan with them, and figure out where to go from here. So we're going to see it. Hell, again, already the direction is so different from game 1, where they're going to be the team trying to dictate the pace of the game. And I'm also curious to see how Top Esports can do in a more controlled style, right? TN especially. It's about covering for your lanes, spotting out where JJ is, and really making sure that no fires get set before the mid game. Maybe some individual advantages can be found around mid once you get the Emperor's Divide online, but going to be a much slower pace coming out for TES in game 2.
It certainly will. And to be honest, like, I feel like there's a view of Top Esports that they're a really fast team all the time. That's not always been true, to be honest. Like, Top Esports have been quite happy in slower metas where they can win lanes, build small advantages, and then gradually build leads over time just from being the stronger team. See if that's going to work for them here today. Great stuff in game number 1. Can they keep this rolling in the series? Remember, for Uzi as well, this is the first time he's made playoffs in 4 years. Obviously, a lot of that time he was not actually playing in LPL, so it's not necessarily an indictment on him. But he comes in, first playoffs in 4 years, all the way from round 1, now in round 3, 1-0 down. Wants to make sure that he's showing up in playoffs, wants to keep EDG into that double elim, and now brings out the Lucian.
You know, not to rain on the parade of the story, but, you know, we haven't been told anything yet, but there definitely has to be, like, you know, maybe the lobby has to be remade, and then, you know, I'm sure there's probably no picks changing, but sometimes you have that where it's like, oh, there's some problem, remake the lobby, pick the same champions, and then send us in. And it's definitely one of those. And I don't, you know, JJ, I don't feel like this is a laughing matter. I feel like there needs to be some respect put on the name of a lobby being remade. Tien, we're looking at you too. Same fun in games.
Yeah, you think
League
this
of Legends.
is games? You think this is video games? This is esports, I'll have you know. Get a serious face on, fold your arms for the camera, do some finger guns. None of this laughing about.
Bring back Y4, and then Sam D stealing his finger guns.
I can't
bring
believe
him back.
he did that. How dare he stood? How dare he stand where he stood? It doesn't really work when you're using he for both, does it? Ah, dear. It looks like maybe we're going into game, though. As the camera's doing that big old pan that it does. We're looking at a Mercedes logo. That's usually a good sign that we're heading towards game number 2 here between Top and EDG. And it's going to be an interesting one with Wayward going for that Ornn once again, but the carry is very much changing for Top Esports. A very different way of playing out. Looking towards the team fights that JackeyLove himself criticized in the pre-game interview.
I love how much EDG are leaning into, you know, potential level 1 aggression when they have this ROM. We saw in game 1, they got a flash from JackeyLove at level 1. Weren't able to turn it into anything, but could have snowballed into something more. And this time around, it looks like they were prodding, hoping that someone from Top Esports would overstep and that Braum would be able to find huge value once again.
Yeah, the Braum can be so incredibly impactful in the early game. I love as well in the Gyos, I feel like there was one dude that was a lot closer to the microphone than everyone else during those Gyos. Getting his voice on stream.
I love, like, when you have the Gyro chance and there's, like, one person who's super loud and, like, up front, and they're just owning it. No embarrassment in the universe. No.
They know that they're here to support, and they're wholehearted. You know, that used to be Dagda. I feel like I think it was Sheen as well. Both of them went to LEC and became notorious for their chants in the crowd.
I actually remember tuning in when that happened.
Nice. I thought there was going to be more to that story then.
So my stream completely lagged out and gave me robot noises as I was saying it. And I assumed either me or you were donezo. But point is, if you can find whatever year that was or like what week of LEC games, if you tune in, you hear the whole like Irish entourage just going absolutely wild.
Yeah, they were having a whale of a time, as they always do.
It's fitting when you bring up Dagda that I get the robot noises coming in through the stream.
The Daggertron still haunting the LPL. Yeah, I feel like that is destiny at this point. Let's return to League of Legends for a moment here and talk pathing. As we've got our junglers going to opposite sides. I'm moving away from the Daggertron because I daren't talk about it in case we manifest it. We've got TN though, headed up towards this top side. Ganking an Ornn doesn't seem like it's going to happen, does it? But for TJ, could move into that bottom lane potentially to try and set up Uzi and Mako.
Yeah, I think a big thing is Tien not, pathing away from what is going to be his incredible weak side. And, we can already see what Uzi and Mako are doing, just keeping them in full force. So, to know he can get a crab somewhere, maybe expecting that JJ is going to want to play around the strength of that Lucian. And, despite the fact that you don't really care to gank Yorn, it's like if Ala oversteps and you can see an opportunity to flash and maybe alleviate some pressure from Wayward, like that is always an option. So I think it makes sense coming out. I expect both to just trade scuttles, but we'll see if JackeyLove and Mark over-aggress and give JJ an easy angle to play around.
And one thing I will say, while gold on tanks isn't necessarily as valuable as gold on carries, when you're against a Lucian Jace that are going to be spiking very hard at like 2 items, having an extra couple of armor items on a tank is definitely valuable when you've got so much AD on one team. JJ behind enemy lines here, potentially trying to set up a dive. I don't think they're going to commit to anything here. They just don't have the minions.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. But going back to what you're saying, right? Things like a plated steel caps a bit sooner. If it ends up going, he's like, hey, look at all the AD. I want to go with Thorn Mail, and like they have some healing. Deny that. That's going to get so much value the longer this game goes on. Again, I really think the name of the game for TS is trying to get some neutral vision down early on in River, spot out where JJ is, and just really deny any action coming out for EDG. Like, sure, maybe there's opportunities like this where you can find a gank, but even just allow JackeyLove and Mark to get the wave in and find resets, that's huge.
Tien moves forward. Mako hooked back into the fray here. JackeyLove trying to get the damage down. Stun flashed away by Mako, but they dive underneath the tower. JackeyLove goes forward in trouble from Uzi, but can't threaten the re-engage. First blood for Mark.
I'm saying all they need to do is be defensive and deny any plays coming out for EDG, but that's not the Top Esports style. You got to go on the offensive. They do it beautifully. JackeyLove flashing forward. Would have been great had him or Tien picked up the kill, but still, you will take that any day of the week, getting the wave in and finding a kill, getting yourself off a good reset, and now moving forward.
Yeah, let's take another look. I love how Tien played on the edge of vision here. And then the route from Jaculov to start it off, it means that Mark can get his full combo very easily. Perfect CC chaining.
Right hook into the passive hit coming out from the Nautilus. Then you have the stun from TN. Jaculov very easily able to follow up with the flash to make sure they gain another one. Looks like EDG gonna hope to find something on Rookie, but I was gonna say, as he is here, you're always just gonna be able to zoom away. Even has the Emperor's Divide online. Had it gotten a little bit more spicy, can always knock them back and look to play from a safe spot. But now this is where Fofo's actually going to be under threat. Level 6 is where he actually starts coming online in this lane, and you can always Shurima shuffle him into tower or start setting up 4 ganks for TN to be able to come through. So Fofo definitely going to rely on the vision that Mako was trying to get him around mid lane. So all of that going to be around the bot side of the map. Going to need to see Fofo respect and not really hover around that top side. But with Herald coming up in less than 2 minutes, that's where the game's going to start flowing too.
It would be really tough for Fofo if he does end up dying in lane, if he does end up falling too far behind. You can see minus CS lead in that mid lane. But JJ wants to answer what TN was able to do in the bottom side. He spotted out though, won't be able to pull it off. This is a fantastic wave position though for EDG. Like they could freeze this all day long. Jaculov is really going to struggle to farm and he's already behind in CS.
But you can see Top Esports making the right call. When this happens, you call the jungle down. So TN looks like waiting in the wings at first, but just wanting to hope and show that they can push this in.
Both junglers are here, though. JJ moves in to try and answer, but the route onto Uzi is huge. He flashes to stop the stun coming on through, and it's Tien stunned instead. Uzi with big damage, and Tien knocks right into his open arms, but Uzi gets the feathers, and suddenly it's turned around. Jaculov's still full HP, as Mark threatened by JJ, but there's no way to chase it, and Mark walks away again. How many times this series will Mark get away with murder?
And I feel like this trade's slightly in favor of Top Esports, just for the fact that Jaculov is still up. He's able to catch the wave and get that gold. He even manages to get the kill for himself. But still, with the fact that Uzi's been up in CS this whole time, it's not like he's going to be down now. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it was just a 1-for-1. So really, Top Esports only keeping that advantage in mid, which is actually outweighed by what all is found on the top side. But we're going to go into the replay now. It looked like at first Tian just wanted to help them get this wave pushed in because, like you said, EDG could have held this for days. They do find the route to come through, which is why they want to go forward with the play. But this opens up for a counter gank to come through for JJ. They do a great job at first, but I think it's here where Mark realizes, hey, I can flash in now, use Tian getting knocked back as a distraction. The feathers come back up once again for Jaculov, so they find one, and luckily for Mark, that W coming up just in time to make sure he doesn't go down.
Somehow walks away with it. This time it's Top Esports to get the first Drake. Game number 1, it was EDG getting 2 of the first Drakes as kind of consolation prizes for what Top Esports were doing early on the map. This time Tien just permanently on this bottom side, making sure that Uzi can't pop off too much on the Lucian. That previous play kind of closing the CS advantage that Lucian was starting, or Lucian, that Uzi was starting to build for himself. As JJ will get the answer on the top side of a Herald.
Playing around the strength that Ala has built up, right? 20 CS leading that top side is what you'd expect in this matchup if you are playing it as well as Ala is. And then now you can see, I'd love to see them actually just show more presence in top side jungle. They're going to do that, keep it up, try and get some aggressive vision plays down, spot out where Tien is, and they might be able to start enable Ala to start roaming around the map more, because that was so close from connecting.
That would have been real scary for Uzi because no flash available either, but he dodges it, keeps himself safe as Fofo wants to try and take these chickens. Tien does get the big one, and that's the most important one for him. Gets the heal off as well as Ala. He's feeling confident in this lane. He started proxy farming at this point. He's very happy to continue to build this lead against Wayward.
Only as the Iron Spiked Whip, we did just get a reset coming out for Wayward, where he picked up the new Chain Vest, before they just have 2 cloth armors. So it's going to get tankier. It's going to be able to deal with some of the heavy trading that Al is putting up a little bit more. But with more crucial items coming online for EDG, like the Demonic Embrace being finished by JJ, they're probably positioned well, getting close to that, that first item power spike where a Lucian, a Jace, Maokai poke is going to hit so hard.
TP down in the bottom side. Jackie Love in trouble. Featherstorm available for him and used immediately. Ala trying to get onto him, but Mark with the body blocking. Clean play, and Ala pulled back in. Jackie Love, so many feathers down. The health bars are low for EDG, and he goes on forwards. Uzi low. Ala diving forwards as JJ here to protect his carries, but my God, Top Esports are indomitable.
I cannot believe they were able to turn that play. Everything looks so good. Ala positioning, flashing forward a bit to be behind Jackie Love, but not able to work out. Now Top Esports getting wayward. Some much needed gold on top side. Jackie Love, you are still going to have to back off, my friend, because you cannot deal with JJ with this amount of HP. JJ might find him.
Dead? Yeah, he's dead.
Yep.
Bramble Smash finishes the job. You can't walk away as Rookie his TP to answer it. And JJ, unfortunately, will just give his life for the play. Still, plate gold for Uzi. Honestly, I've lost track of this play. I don't even know who won.
This play is definitely in favor of EDGs. We see here, Fofo going to be able to get into mid, get this one down a little bit more. You just got away pushing bots, so some gold denied. But it's going to be here where Jackie Love just is doing great TP play coming out, cleanses the initial CC coming through. But I love the positioning by Ala because he puts himself right behind the Xayah. But there, Mark walking forward, able to get in with the body block. Even body block, the Q coming out from Mako. It's what is the difference maker, and both able to survive just on 1 HP. Uzi, the one auto isn't enough in the end. Even gets the Blade Caller, the root coming through. And I think EDG are lucky that Moore didn't go down.
Yeah, I mean, Mark and Tien both just about walking away. I feel like in this series already, we've seen Mark walk away in fights where he really has no right to survive. Like, that's 4 times, is it? Across these 2 games? Mark very much knowing the limits of Nautilus. All of those years of playing almost exclusively Nautilus really paying off.
And hey, that is I think, something LPL supports in general. You know, you put an LPL, Nautilus, or Leona up against anyone, I feel like they are among the best. Just from how anytime even Enchanters started to become semblance of meta in other regions, we just didn't care. We just didn't care one bit.
Even at like the height of Yuumi, we still saw a lot of like Nautilus lanes. Like no matter what the meta is, he'll still at least exist in the meta. And again, JJ now moving down to try and punish that Nautilus. I guess they'd really try to punish Jackie Love, but that didn't quite work with the previous sentence. Mark moving over to make sure his AD carry's okay. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, and it feels like both teams want presence here.
I feel like EDG in the advantage, though, because Jackie Love has no flash. You also have item advantage with Kraken Slayer for Uzi. All of that coming from the amount of plates that EDG have been able to get in that bot lane. So definitely some significant items there. Sure, we have Crown of the Shattered Queen on Rookie, but doesn't feel like it evens it out as much as like Demonic Embrace plus Kraken Slayer on the side of EDG. And again, the lack of summoners on Jackie Love.
And I feel like Kraken Slayer is just such an insanely strong item, especially on Lucian. You can proc those true damage hits so quickly. Jackie Love being a little cautious. But he died to that Maokai once, doesn't want to die again. As Rookie doing a great job in the mid lane, like you say, he's Mythic online at this point, but Crown, not necessarily the biggest early game spike out of all of those first items, but Wayward's moved over, and Top Esports certainly don't want to give this Drake up without a fight.
No, and I think we're looking at Rookie to see what he's able to find. Last time around, Top Esports was EDG actually being the aggressors.
Mako trading a lot of HP to move in there, but that's good damage down onto Tien. Uzi moving over after catching that wave at the bottom side. Top Esports still posturing for this one. Tien moving over from the top side of the players. EDG deciding to retreat. They don't want the fight right now. They let Top Esports onto the Drake. Roots coming across the team here. JJ needs to get into that pit, but the Azir can do so much. Drake taken by Top Esports, and EDG full respect.
And I'm surprised, even the amount of posturing. Top Esports bought enough time where Jackie Love's flash had coming up, like hadn't engaged come through, he would have still been fine. So hesitant coming through. It looked like just wanting the perfect setup, the perfect flank to come out from Ala, because they know if they just run front to back, are they really going to get Herald?
They're going to get Herald as well. This is going to be absolutely huge for Top Esports. Not only do they get the Drake just the posturing alone, they get the mid tower, they move it into a Herald as well, and you could even just instantly drop the Herald top. I don't know if they'll go for that play necessarily, but
probably not.
Massive little spin here for Top Esports.
great play. I feel like if they did instantly move top, you're giving the enemy team too much tempo in terms of their resets coming out so much sooner than yours. Like, we see now Dustblade picked up by Fofo, so they're going to be incredibly strong. So, definitely going to want some resets to come out for top Esports. 3 of them already have. You expect Tien to be following up quite soon, maybe pick up a couple more camps if he's a little bit gold off. Some more items coming out, but you're right. It felt like they're really nice fluid movements coming out for TES. Sure, EDG are still in the advantage in terms of gold because of some of the CS leads we have coming out in top and AD carry, but that was just some great map movement from top Esports.
And it just feels like it was all so well timed for them as well. Like Herald just respawning perfectly after the Drake. Like it all lined up very nicely. But look towards Tien as 3 players aggressing onto him here. EDG want to try and find a pick, but Rookie's here too. But this jungler, this is a 4v2. Mark is moving into the area as well. Rookie with that ultimate available, with his crown. You don't expect them to pull this dive off.
No, not going to be able to do it. Even noticing that Wayward had walked over Ward up towards that top side, so he's ready to join at any time with this teleport. So I like to back off, but instantly coming back. Top Esports seem like they're kind of reading it.
Rookie's having none of it, pushes them in. Fofo, his target, but Rookie is down. Pulled back his Mako, but JJ is tanking for the time being. Call of the Forge got to get the knockups. The health bar is so low, and there's one for top Esports. Even now, is Jacula forced to use his Feather Sword, but Uzi barely dashes away from Tien's ultimate. It's a 1-for-1 in the top side as everyone gets involved.
Low health bars on EDG. That could have almost been more beneficial because I believe Mark had started to walk back up towards the turret before the dive happened, then started his recall like right as the dive came through. It's like, oh gosh, like I got to get up there now. Had he gotten up there a little bit sooner, maybe by a bit more time, Rookie's able to survive with the amount of CC coming through, but still, I think it's very fortunate for TS to be able to turn that into a 1-for-1.
Certainly was. Rookie TP's into the mid lane. Tien defending that tier 1 tower.
Yeah,
so
right
Rookie
there.
starts it trying to find Fofo.
Yeah, but still, like Mark was making his way up, then started his reset. Of course, with the numbers advantage, they're able to find the first kill, but Mark still gets close enough for the ult to come out, knocks up both Mako and JJ, and that's how they find that return kill. So, honestly, EDG, I think, a bit lucky that Mark had decided to start channeling his recall, move up there and just kind of recall from there. Or then maybe Rookie would have survived, you find even more.
I feel like Uzi as well kind of saved the play from EDG, even though he doesn't actually get anything with his culling, he just traded ult for ult there. Like, if Jackulov isn't threatened by Uzi, if the rest of the team doesn't have to move over and help Jackulov, like Fofo and it was either JJ or Ala was so incredibly low in that top lane. I feel like more could happen as Jackulov was caught out in the mid lane, forced to cleanse while all of that was going on.
So once again, lack of summoner. Last time around, EDG didn't punish this, despite the fact that it felt like they had control and that they would have won a fight. Our posturing our dragon last time, Uzi not only had item advantage, he'd flash advantage, right? That felt like the perfect time to force a fight, but it seemed like without a good flank angle, they weren't confident in taking that. And I wonder if it's going to be the same thing here, because we can see them now, again, wanting to make the map bigger, wanting to play out through the 1-3-1. I think noticing how strong top Esports front to back is with the amount of zone control, with the amount of peel that they're bringing to the table. So it's a bit of a flip script from last time around. The only difference is EDG don't have the huge gold lead that top Esports did when they had, a comp that was playing out similarly.
Yeah. And it's moments like this where that small gold lead that they have, this is where they've got to use it, because people always seem to forget when we're talking like in esports terms, people talk about gold leads all the time and CS leads in lanes. It only matters when you have more items than the opponent. And right now, Uzi has converted that to 2 items. Jackulov does not have 2 items. This is your moment, especially with a Lucian. Lucian is like the prime example of item spikes are massive for the pick. EDG need to find their fight.
You can see it's actually top Esports now trying to pull pressure and force something here in mid lane. Ala going to try to pull them back towards top side with that side lane pressure, and honestly, it works out. Despite the fact that EDG aren't the ones forcing anything, they've muted the push from top Esports. And I think what they would hope for is, again, clear out this vision like we see Ala doing now, try to wrap around and try and just get him right onto Jackulov. Even then, though, it just feels like they have so many tools to get away.
Yeah. I will say Fofo is starting to chunk. Like, this, long standoff is perfect for Lethality Jace. Like, that is his dream scenario. Just a long standoff where he can keep getting these shock blasts out. consistently hitting multiple members. Does massive damage onto Jackie Love as Ala dashes over the wall, keeps himself alive, and Blast Cone back to the right side of that wall. I think Top Esports slowly but surely seeing better of the play with Jackie Love half HP, poked out by Fofo. EDG will claim their first Drake.
EDG's patience paying off in the end. Like you say, just literally all off the back of the Jace. Nothing else to rank his build. I guess maybe some saplings in there as well, you know, being a bit of an annoyance, but those shock blasts doing everything. And the fact, if Jackie Love can sidestep them, you know, maybe you can posture a little bit longer. Again, try to open the call to Forge God, throw out a Sejuani ultimate, find your pick. But at least Top Esports can be able to try to find some gold on the map as a consolation prize. But Munch, when you were just hitting on how much Fofo was doing, the fact that he's once again finished up another item, it's going to be an annoyance for TES.
It certainly is. Rookie, you would anticipate will probably finish an item as well when he heads back to base. Just finished the tower there, got a few waves. He's going to go for his reset. We'll see if he does hit the 2-item spike for the Azir as well, which is a pretty big moment for Azir in the game.
Yep,
and there it is.
Yep, Nasher's online, so going to be able to put out some consistent, nice DPS if they ever do find a chance to get a front-to-back team fight. Problem is EDG, again, in our last sequence, did a great job at just kind of dodging that out, pulling them around the map with the Renekton, and making it so that they couldn't fight anything.
So a very tempered game from Top Esports, and this is what me and you were talking about before the series. The Top Esports, they've been a much more, like, or at least Jackie Love has been much less Top Esports than previous years, you know? I feel like this team has been willing to play more standard League of Legends games, and I feel like this is a good example of that, where they're not just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at EDG, understanding that they don't have the advantage right now, so playing it a little slower. But a slower pace of game is exactly what EDG loves. This is a team that lives and dies by the slower paced game. And I mean, Uzi, even though he's on that Lucian, I think people often think of Lucian as an early game carry, but Lucian scales exceptionally well when you're building crit.
Yeah, and you know, one thing is, like, even regardless of if his DPS doesn't outright hold up to some of the best in his role, you're still bursty. You're still incredibly bursty, right? If you ever find Jackie Love or Rookie, you can just outright take them out with, you know, a solid combo coming through, maybe a bit of supporting damage from, like, Fofo or JJ from a range. So, like, Rookie and Jackie Love will always have to be on their toes if Uzi can be caught in a good position. And another thing that Lucian provides, right, is the later the game goes, you know, once you get, like, that culling all 3 ranks, you throw that one out, not on the longest cooldown, and you kind of can, like that Jace, poke people out and force them away from an objective fight.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to deal with, especially when Jackie Love going for the Navori, not the Gale Force, which, you know, is standard build on the Xayah these days, but it can mean that Uzi, when he goes, you assume for the Gale Force himself, he can reposition. He can make sure that culling is hitting, force the Featherstorm out from Jackie Love, which is a much longer cooldown. You can trade those ultimates. That's always going to be a fantastic position for EDG. But a reasonably quiet one here, Lyric. And after the absolute chaos of game number 1, I feel like both teams here taking a deep breath. This feels to me like the calm before the storm, especially with Baron now on the map.
It's really interesting, right? Because as TES, you really don't feel too frantic about forcing anything. Like, you have the Azir, you have the Ornn items are starting to come online right now. You're kind of fine if this game just keeps going. But at the same time, like you said, EDG, I feel like, are not one of the most, like, bloodthirsty, ruthless, like, they're not going to turn it into a bar brawl. But there we go. That's the culling that we talked about.
Culling.
Yeah. Force them away, and then you can maybe try and turn it into an objective. But right now, angling. So being a bit more aggressive, but still, I don't know if EDG are going to be the team that are going to be like, all right, lads, let's pull the trigger going and force the fight we need to find a Baron. And that just puts them on a timer, and Top Esports love that.
And at the end of the day, as much as, like, Jace can still be good late game, Lucian can still be good late game, it's not as good late game as, like, an Azir and a Xayah, right? Like, even if they do still exist later,
and a better
there is that
line
comparison to be had. And like you say, Ornn scales amazingly. Sejuani's going to be fine in the late game, gives you that hard engage.
The Ornn items.
Oh no, they're going to sneak a Baron as well. Jackie Love, not as sneaky as you would have liked. Just walk straight on. TP going to be forced out here.
Double TP. both
my
Fofo and
God, they
Ala
got
using
two
those.
TPs out of that?
Yeah. Yeah, oh, actually huge play for TS. Sure would have been better had, like, the sneak been successful, 100%, but they will take that any day of the week. Now, things like the wave rookie just pushed in mid. I mean, right, we tried to come at 20 seconds, don't think you'll catch up, but you're losing gold, losing experience.
I feel like that's been consistent in this series as well. Like, EDG don't have the same side lane respect as top esports try and start the fight. Stopwatch going to be used here to buy space time. Mark taken down just about. Almost went away with his life there. Wayward over the wall. Stun disc to disengage this one.
At the end of the day, EDG bringing more to the table. Mark getting absolutely obliterated in that fight. So this will be a dragon for EDG. TES, I'm actually surprised that Jackie Love, Rookie, and Tien are even still showing so much presence. Maybe try and see if you can clear any control wards that EDG have up towards that top side.
Maybe try and pick someone off if Mako went in solo to try and get vision, for example. But the ward's going to be spotting this one out. And I think top esports realizing that the jig is up. They're not getting away with this one. Tien, little scary on his pathing there, but can just jump over the walls, so he'll be fine. And EDG, like you say, the culling used beautifully here to get themselves a Drake, and that's 2 now on the board.
It's still so tense so much. Like, I don't know why it's this tense. I don't know why top esports. TS still looks so ready to fight this. Like, they're like slowly trying to encircle EDG, but EDG not giving up just yet. Come on, guys, are we gonna fight or are we not gonna fight? What are we doing?
That's what I love about top esports, is it always feels like they're willing to go for the fight. It always feels like they're posturing like, yeah, we don't necessarily want the fight right now, but if you walk into us, we'll give you the fight. Like, they're not going anywhere. As a hook comes out from Arc, no, I take it back. They do want the fight. They just straight up want the fight.
Like, Tiana's camps up. You guys can go, you know, catch waves if EDG ever actually catches them, because like you were trying to point out earlier before the fight broke out, it feels like TS has done a better job managing the side waves in this, you know, 2 games so far. So I guess right now there actually isn't a whole lot for top esports to pick up on the map other than the 3 camps that have spawned, considering that all the waves have been on EDG's side.
But massive CS lead up top for Ala. He's, what, 60 CS up at this point. As you would kind of expect, Renekton versus Ornn is always going to be Renekton favored, but that is a sizable lead for him. He's on those 2 items, which Renekton definitely very strong. Top esports just going to start the Baron off again, and EDG have to slowly but surely make their way through vision. Mako moving forwards has to be the one to face check the culling onto Mark once again, and Mako unbreakable. The Roots force out the Featherstorm, and now Wayward is going to be abandoned by the squad. Top esports, they start a play, but they're the ones punished.
Yeah, it was surprising how, like, if you were watching the backline of top esports, it's not even like they were hitting Mako or anyone else in the extended play. It was literally like, all right, Wayward, see you later. Now it looks like EDG, just get this Baron.
They're just going to get this one with no contest. Tien can't even walk in, and it's 4v5. Rookie still there, dashes away, but Tien will be the next target. Shock Blast hits the slow hits. He's over the wall. Can he be protected by the carries of top esports? Mako tries to find that slow, but again, the Sun Disc will be the disengage for top esports.
And it feels like TES kind of being their own downfall, not needing to force these plays. This time around, there were waves that they could catch. Again, get closer to some of those like next items coming on through where you know your comp scales incredibly well. Force himself into a play. They look so timid and half-hearted with the play as well that they don't commit to it. So we're going to see here, go immediately onto Mako. Great calling by Uzi to force Mark so low and get him out of there. And then Wayward left on his lonesome. And it looks like Ala's presence is what actually forced Rookie and Jackie back and scared them from really being able to walk forward and hit either Mako or JJ.
Yeah, the top difference in that fight certainly going in favor of Ala, despite the fact he's 0-0-0. Still having a huge presence in the skirmish.
Look at the CS lead.
I know, it's absolutely insane. He's headed towards a Flame Horizon at this rate. There's, I mean, Baron in pocket now. EDG, slow and steady, wins the race, apparently, even with a Lucian and a Jace on your team. I mean, Jace absolutely loves these siege scenarios, doesn't he? More than happy to just poke away. 3.5 items on Uzi at this point, too.
I mean, they're just so big, right? We were hitting on in the mid game where it was when they only had a 1K gold lead, and it felt like TS were kind of poised that this game was just going to go a slow pace and they were going to take it at the end of the day. But plays TS have been forcing have caused EDG to win these fights, find huge gold leads. And EDG showing they know how to work around them magnificently. Is Ala now even has the Guardian Angel. They now are getting some like nice survivability to make extended team fights work.
Because this is the thing, like the late game team fights, when you're talking scaling, a lot of the time people think of like what happens at 6 items. We're a long way away from 6 items. This Renekton is still very much a beast coming out of the top lane. JackeyLove loses a good chunk to the Kung, as does Wayward. Hook in from Mark, and Mark has to flash away, taken down. As the double shot comes in and a double kill on top of it. Double for Uzi as Fofo chimes in. Ala's gone too deep, but he's got a GA, so it just doesn't matter. JackeyLove has to carry here. Wayward gets a knock up, but JackeyLove low, and he's taken down with Uzi grabbing a triple kill. EDG, they put a nail in this series, and they might just finish the game.
EDG showing us that they can still keep it competitive. They have a wave coming up. Death timers on carries are long enough, and this should be it, Munch. EDG should be able to push forward, and they should be able to make it 1-1.
What a strange game in this series as EDG managing to slowly but surely push their way to victory, snowball these leads, and Uzi's Culling's doing so much damage. Great setup for the Lucian. Great follow-up from Uzi as well. 1-1 now between EDG and Top Esports. And a weird pace in that one. And like you say, Top Esports, theoretically better scaling, but it didn't feel like they were looking towards that.
Like, it just felt weird, right? Because it felt like the pace suited them well. EDG, like they were the ones in control of the map, but it didn't feel like that was really affecting TS so much. They're still able to catch waves on sides. They're farming just fine.